Welcome to Football or Soccer with all of us. We've got us
I
all
know
this
we've got a
week.
full team.
Got a full team this week. We're recording this as we speak while Arsenal are playing PSG. We're in the 72nd minute. Arsenal are at home. They're 1-0 down to PSG. But before we get to that, so forgive if we look at the screens. We've got a bit of screens. I think all of us have got it up in the background as well, with what's going on. But
I
I think
don't.
we've got to
I don't.
start this on. The podcast has got to be started off with the Red Men. 20th title
Chris,
in the club's
cheers.
history.
Cheers with the water, my man. Cheers with the water.
No, I think a huge congratulations to Liverpool, everyone connected with it.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
Feels amazing.
I mean, we've
Amazing,
known it was
honestly.
coming. Most successful team that the land has ever seen. There'll be songs written about it. It'll go down in folklore and just how it is,
I
you know?
do quite like how this time they've emphasized it,
I was
that
gonna,
Liverpool are the biggest.
I was
Because
gonna
I
ask
think a
about,
lot of
Because it
people,
was
even
difficult
me,
to emphasize it before. It was difficult to
yeah,
emphasize before.
I was gonna say,
Now it's no debate.
how does this title being celebrated feel like the one from COVID? Do you feel like obviously you can enjoy it a bit more, but does it feel a little different now to when you won it in 2019-20?
I mean, I'm not going to speak for Chris, but 1920, we were all stuck in LA, weren't we? None of us could be with our families. None of us could go home.
That's true.
No one could even go to the game. Never mind us. Nobody could even go to the game. But I mean, that was
and to
insane.
Tone as well, you was outside the ground. You didn't go
Yeah,
to the game, did you?
so it was me mum's surprise 60th birthday on the afternoon. I mean,
Yeah.
my little brother his birthday is the same day as my mum's, and so what we did was we had a surprise birthday, and my little brother was like, "Listen, I don't fucking care whose birthday it is. We're winning the league. I'm leaving at 3:30 to get there because the kickoff's at 4:30." So he left. Obviously I stay with me sisters and Liz and all that. And as as soon as it was done, I was like, I just went to the ground and oh my God,
It looked
it was
amazing outside.
oh,
Beautiful
mate.
sunny day
It
for it
was,
as
do you know
well.
what? It was, do you know those situations we've all been in them where we're walking through a crowd of hundreds or even thousands of people, but you somehow spot everyone you know.
Yeah. Funny, isn't it?
Somehow, like, oh, I was like, oh my God. And, you're hugging and it was, oh,
I've
and
got to
then
tell you,
the players,
I had the
it was
biggest
amazing.
FOMO maybe ever. So the biggest. So on Friday, I was in Seattle for work on Friday,
Yeah.
and my mate called me up and he's like, "Are you coming back?" I'm like, "I don't think so." He says, "I've got a spare ticket," and I went,
Oh,
"Oh my God!" And so I started, and if it wouldn't have ended in
Mate.
divorce. I was looking at, I could have done it. There was flights from Seattle straight to London. I could have got
Yeah.
up. And when
Yeah.
it all, I was like, well, you dickhead. I should have
Oh,
done it. I should have done it.
you know what? It was special. I really wish you would have.
I
I
know.
really wish you
I
would
know. It's
have. It
there
funny.
was
was
I
two
had two of
things that
them.
stuck out for me in that, which I will say I thought they were real class. There was firstly the Salah celebration, which he'd
Amazing.
obviously set up doing that selfie. I thought
with
it was
with the
brilliant,
phone.
that
I
was.
didn't like that. Yeah,
Oh,
I
I did.
didn't.
I thought it was
But
brilliant.
do you
I
know,
thought it was
it
But
was
so
done
good.
by the
it was
club.
a Google Pixel advertisement, though. I didn't like that.
Ah.
That's
See,
what it was.
at first I thought it was a fan's phone, right? And I
Yeah.
thought that was amazing.
I did
Then
as
I
well.
realized she gave it to him, right? So I
Yes.
thought, oh, it's
Super.
his phone. And I thought I didn't realize it was an advertisement, but
Yeah.
still, I thought it was amazing. Whoever thought of that was an amazing idea.
Yeah. It's
And then
superb marketing, wasn't it? Superb
the bit
marketing.
I absolutely loved was Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, I
Na
know.
na
I
na na
know.
na. I
Oh, I
thought
Yeah,
got
it was. Do
teary.
you know what? I thought that was a real touch of
I did
class
too.
from
I
Arne
agree with
Slot.
that. Yeah,
I
I did.
know Klopp teed him up with it. But do you know what? That's such a lovely way that was done. Both ways. When he came in, Slot, that Klopp said, "It's not me now, it's you." And then I loved that recognition of we wouldn't be here without this guy as well.
Yeah,
I thought that was a real touch of class.
The whole narrative over the last few weeks has been, oh, but he got teed up with the best team.
Yeah,
And
listen,
and
you
you
still
know,
got to win
and
it.
it's not necessarily
Well, that team
inaccurate.
finished third.
Listen,
so
no one had that. No one had that team winning the
Yeah.
league this year. Not one punter,
No,
not one pundit in
There
the
wasn't one.
land
Yeah,
had
there
that
wasn't
team
one.
winning the league.
That's right.
Yeah,
But they have been the best team in the whole country this year.
by a mile.
I
a
think
mile.
a country mile. And I
Yeah.
know we've had this, well, the league's not strong up, all this. Forget that. They have been the best.
I'm going to push back on that as well, because the league is way deeper. Yes, Arsenal, City haven't been as good, but it's harder to beat the rest of the teams.
Or Spurs, or Man United, or
but
West
the rest
Ham.
Going to Bournemouth, going to Bradford, going to all these, it's way harder now than it has been in years gone by. The league's deeper, and it's not.
Yeah, look, you're seeing maybe the demolish of the top six right now.
Yeah,
you are probably seeing that breakdown.
It's actually, yeah. You know, that's a good point. This is probably, so we've always known what the top 4 or 5 is.
Yeah.
You know, United.
No, there's no pundit in the world that would have picked this top 6 this year.
No way.
No, but
with Forest in it and things like that.
But there's so much maneuverability in that 4th to even 10th now.
Yeah.
Isn't there?
Yeah, there is, and it is. So you've got to give that its credit as well. So, but do you think Liverpool? And I actually thought about this quite a bit in the last couple of days. Do you think Liverpool? Because bearing in mind, Liverpool have not made a signing for a year now. Okay, they've got the contract sorted of Van Dijk and Salah. Chiesa, right? They've bought one player, right? They only signed one player.
I don't think he played a game for the Premier League.
I don't know why he doesn't get more time. I love that Chiesa. I think
I did.
I think the injuries are just taking his toll. Now, I think next year I saw someone talking about it. I don't know if it was Carragher or someone, was Liverpool's actual squad depth. Is it the manager? And actually it was Neville. He said, is it that Slot doesn't trust his bench because he doesn't really use it? He really uses the key 11 players. Or is it he likes a very small squad and this is what he'll work with, and we'll see that again next year, even if he brings players in. Now, that's going to be a bit of time will tell, I think, because we won't really know. But I saw Carragher say he thinks Liverpool needs 6 players. And I don't disagree with what he's saying. They need a left back. They need a centre back to push Van Dijk and Konate to be there and to take over from Van Dijk eventually. They need probably a central midfielder, like a 10. Do you know what I was thinking of the other day for a short term? Because this is a chance Liverpool has got. I still believe they have got this now. I know City will be stronger next year, but Manchester United will not be in the fold next year. They still won't be. No. I don't think Spurs will still be there. They might be. They're going to be around. I think Villa and Newcastle, but PSR will hamper them a little bit. But you got to remember, Liverpool haven't got this PSR problem because they haven't signed anyone. I do think now is a real time Liverpool could go and assert dominance on this league. I think they've probably been presented a chance that may never be presented again to assert dominance. What do you think, Chris?
I think it depends a lot on what City do over the summer. I think if City can, I just don't see them having, the same season. I think they will come back hungry. I think
but it could be another transition year for City. Bearing in mind, this wasn't their transition year. This year is actually their transition year.
Well, don't forget they've got
Chris, why do you think what City will do will affect what Liverpool will do?
I just think they'll be harder to beat next year. I don't think we'll get.
No, I mean in the summer.
I'm saying I don't. City had the off season when Leicester won, then they came back and won it, and so this City team don't tend to have 2 bad seasons.
They went big in January.
Yeah, Chelsea won it. Say again, Sam. Chelsea actually won it the season after Leicester did. So City actually had 2 seasons off that time.
Good day, good lad.
We signed.
But this is a transition year for
Nobody
City.
cares about Chelsea anymore, mate.
Here we go.
I don't know whether you've been paying attention in the last few years.
Here we go. Here we go.
Just, I just don't see City being, rolling over.
Well, City have got. Well, we might find out the ramifications of the legal case from. My God, how did he miss that? PSG should be 2-0 up.
Oh, really?
How did he miss?
I'm behind you.
Who was it? Sam?
Bradley Barcola. He was just through.
He just come on as well.
Is he offside? Maybe gone.
So that I think.
I think
what I was thinking of
who could win the league. That's what I think.
Who could be a player for Liverpool next year? Kevin De Bruyne.
I mean, we definitely need that.
I thought of that.
Kevin De Bruyne.
I thought of that. It just doesn't. Why not?
I can't see.
Same reason you were saying like Salah. Why doesn't he go to Arsenal or the others? Why wouldn't we sign
City? Yeah. Kevin De Bruyne has still got something to give. Whether you sign him for a year or 2 years.
Out of here, Sam.
I can't see that happening. I'd be shocked.
What? You don't think Kevin De Bruyne
sits in the Premier League?
I still think he's got it. I still think he's got it. It's just now he's back from his injuries. If he manages to get
how many games has he played over the last 2 seasons?
Forget that. But right, say you're bringing in a squad player.
Forget that. Yeah,
right?
That's not a good metric.
Right. Well, no. I'm just saying he's still played enough games this year.
Hey, you make a point, Sam. You do make a good point.
If had Kevin De Bruyne to slot inside, no, just listen. If you had Kevin De Bruyne to slot inside with Slobozai, like instead of Slobozai, that would be as we're talking. PSG have just hit the bar, like it's unbelievable. But it's if you had De Bruyne to slot inside with Slobozai, to take him out every now and then, put De Bruyne in, I think that would be a fantastic signing. It could be a Van Persie-like signing for Manchester United that just got him over. Bearing in mind, you haven't got to pay for him. So he's big wages, but he's someone that could slot in. He knows how to win the league. He's a top level player. When I mean mindset, everything.
I'd take him. So you wouldn't take him?
He's not going to be happy to sit on the bench. He isn't.
Who knows?
No, he might if he's
okay. If you were
because he's talking about he might still go to.
How old is he?
34.
He's 34. So he's pretty much at the end of his. I mean, his elite career is done at 34. So he could.
He's 34 in June.
He could go. Okay, so June. So he could go to Saudi Arabia and then £200 million a year.
He's not going there. He came out.
He could go to Liverpool.
Haven't you seen what he said this week? He said, I still feel I can give it in the Premiership. Now, if you're talking about he might have the chance to go to Spurs or West Ham, let's just say.
But how many games have he played for the like?
But maybe that's not. But that may be that he's okay with that. Maybe he was okay with that at City. City have got rid of him.
Obviously, this is what Salah's done, right? Because Salah is turned down fucking billions of pounds, pretty much, to play for Liverpool. But I just don't think De Bruyne is in that bracket where he's been injured 50% of the time for the last 2 years.
Yeah, he's played 35 games this year.
How many games did Man City play?
I would say,
but he's played 35 games.
I know. But how many games did Man City play?
Would De Bruyne be a better addition in your team right now than Harvey Elliott or Chiesa?
Chiesa, yeah.
So I'm not saying he's the answer.
But you know why? Let me caveat that. The reason why he would be a better addition than Chiesa is because neither of them fucking play. But De Bruyne is just better. That's it.
So that's what I'm saying. If you bought him in,
but Chiesa's being paid about 60 grand a week.
But who knows? I'm just let's take in all of. let's just take all of that out of it, right? De Bruyne
Well, you
says,
can't
I
take
want to
all of
play in the
that out
Prem.
of it. You
No,
can't
let's
do
just
that.
say he says, I want to play in the Prem. I know I'm not going to get 500 grand a
no.
week.
Listen,
And
it's easy to say it, but you can't just be like, let's just take all of the conditions out of the
150 a week,
situation. You can't do
Chiesa.
that.
he's what?
He's on 150 grand a week.
Yeah, I would have thought so, yeah.
You signed him.
Easy.
I'm actually
For
surprised
nothing.
it's that much. But anyway,
I'm not at all. You signed him for nothing.
De Bruyne wouldn't play for fucking Stoke City for 150 grand a week.
I can see him going to Villa or Newcastle if he wants to stay in the Prem or somewhere like that.
So can I.
He's not going to go to Liverpool. And
I can see
I agree with what both of you are saying, to be fair, because De Bruyne, you look at the City's resurgence right now. City are back on form, and it's because De Bruyne is back. Like he's like I've seen their highlights of their games.
He's been brilliant, hasn't he, last few weeks?
He has been brilliant again, but you just don't know with De Bruyne. He could go down with another hamstring injury next game and be out for 3 months.
Yeah.
And that's what he's been on. Unfortunately, that's what he's been through the last 2 or 3 years. But as a player to get in, I can't see him wanting to go to somewhere like Liverpool because he's in the twilight of his career.
He wouldn't go to Liverpool. Liverpool wouldn't take him. I'm
just saying hypothetically, Tony. I can't see him wanting to go there because he isn't going to get the game time he wants, and he's in that point of his career now where he still feels that he's got a lot to offer. He's going to want to play every game. So
I agree with that.
I mean, it's like
But maybe there's a part of him that says, "I know my body's not where it was, and I can't play every week."
Maybe
because you got to remember that's what I will say. He wanted to stay at City. City got rid of him, and I think that was what there was a bit of.
Offered him an extra year, he would have taken it.
100%.
City are making the same mistake that Chelsea made with Lampard, letting him go a season early. They should.
I'm just saying. I think if I was Liverpool, if I was up there at Liverpool, I'd be looking at it because if you think of you want to just go and solidify it for another year, you're thinking just one more year title.
You think he wouldn't do it though, Sam, because of the rivalry? Do you think any of that would?
No, I don't actually. I think just with that comment of saying I can still play in the Premier League, I don't think he's going to want to go to West Ham. You know, like or Spurs.
Well, why not though? Why not West Ham? Why not West Ham?
Can we just talk?
Because I think he's got more to give. Because I think he's bossing it still at City.
West Ham are in the Premier League though.
Yeah, but I think he's still that elite level above.
I'll be amazed if they don't at least ask the question and don't at least put some feelers out.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say Spurs because Spurs have made that mistake with James Maddison, and I know it's a completely different level of player, but they've made the mistake with James Maddison where they brought him on. He hasn't really done anything, has he, for Spurs?
Not really.
Not really.
Nothing too impressive. But let's just say that. But
not too impressive.
I'm getting it also on good news as well. Just switching it up a little bit on good authority that Angie's gone. Whatever.
Really?
That was always going to happen.
You know what? I was walking outside. I'm in Paris right now. I was walking outside and I spoke to a waiter. Didn't speak a word of English. He gave it to me on good authority that Angie's gone as well.
No, it's come from someone very high up in the club at Tottenham. Someone's very high up in the club in Tottenham has said that it doesn't matter if he wins it or not.
If I was the best thing ever would be to win that Europa League and say
and quit
and resign and say you fucking Spurs fans shove this trophy up your arse. And
you know what? That's
won't do it though. So forfeit his outstanding contract money. So
you know when I think
you're right, you should.
You know when I think Ange was gone was when it was last year, wasn't it? When a lot of Spurs fans wanted Arsenal to they wanted.
It was that day. They wanted Spurs to lose against City.
That was what it was.
Yeah.
And I ever since then I think everybody's been like, that's not a proper football club.
Yeah.
You want to lose a game?
It's terrible. I'll tell you what, no one's actually mentioned it because Liverpool won the league this week, but they were absolutely torn to shreds Spurs again.
They're a joke.
Yeah.
I could hear you for our first goal when they were trying to play it out from the back. I could hear you talking about it in my head. Going,
it's crazy, wasn't it?
Talking about that.
And do you know what? Even the Salah goal, there was at no point in that move. It was 4v4, but Spurs had 4 defenders there. There was at no point when you thought, when this ball gets to Salah, it is not going in, right?
Yeah.
You knew you only had to just keep looking at Salah.
There was zero space. There was zero space.
He went like that. The defender made the lamest attempt at getting the ball, and he beat him and put it in. And it was just like, you looked at it and just thought, if you're Ange, you must be thinking like, what is going on?
I'll tell you this: you look at the two clubs, and you're talking about the managers. You kicked off the episode. The fact that Jurgen Klopp sings for the incoming manager, and then he sings for the old manager. That's never happened. And then you look at, and that's how, and you talk about the difference in cultures at the clubs. And you look at how the managers have talked about Tottenham over the years, from Mourinho, Conte, all these guys. So we've touched on this in previous episodes, the toxic nature that seems to be there. Obviously needs looking at, and I think that's a good illustration. The difference in those two clubs. For sure.
When a club gets that bad, it's like any situation, right? It's not even just a football club; it's a company, it's a friendship, it's a relationship, it's whatever. When it gets that weird, it's so difficult to pull it back from there, and that's where they are. That's where Spurs are. They're at a point where.
And West Ham, very similar. We're the same.
What happened to West Ham on the weekend? I mean, I couldn't. You must have wanted to throw that TV out the window.
You know what? It's not a surprise to me, because the first half we were absolutely abysmal. Again, it was unwatchable. And Fulkrug obviously made the statement the week before when we drew against Southampton, when he said we're shit. And the fans have latched onto it, and the fans, the whole first half, chanted at Potter, the Germans right, we're fucking shite. The Germans right, we're fucking shite. And but what he became was, because what happened was Potter dropped Fulkrug again, right? So he dropped him, said there wasn't a problem. He was right, but shouldn't have said it out of turn. Dropped him again, and he has now become the anti-Potter movement. And it's actually, you don't realize how quickly they can change. The fans' favourite now is Fulkrug. And then they chanted him, get him on the fucking pitch and all that. He came on, within a minute, we scored and levelled it up. And he was a nuisance the whole game. And then exactly what he said last week, can't see out a game. We couldn't do it again. 2 goals in the last 5 minutes. It's abysmal.
We are 3 points to nothing. It was crazy. I couldn't believe it.
And I think if we've got Spurs on Sunday, I think if we go and get beat by Spurs, Potter will not remain. The West Ham fans will make it so hard for him.
What's the alternative though, Sam?
There's other managers out there. This guy's not the man. He's not. You know what he was? He's another cheap option. That's exactly what it was. A yes man.
Every single manager.
You can say that, Tony. And on the outside of West Ham, I know what you can say. You don't want this, you don't want that, you don't want that. And listen, the fans are a big problem at West Ham. But I was with Carlton Cole yesterday, right? And I said, Carlton, what do we want? He said, we all know what you want. We want some youth players in the first team. That was Moyes' biggest problem, that he never gave youth a chance. We're the oldest team in the Premier League.
You don't have fucking good youth players to do that, though.
I asked him that. Have we got good youth players? He said, we've got better youth players than we have in that first team. And so even that, West Ham don't care about winning the league. They want to see a resemblance of themselves in the first team, and they want effort. And that's what Carlton said next. And then I said, you're probably the last player that epitomised it.
Going back to the youth players, are you saying that there are multiple managers at West Ham who know that there are better youth players that for some fucking reason that nobody...
Well, no, Potter has put youth players in. Well, Potter has. But you've got to remember as well, there is a caveat to that. Like, Moyes doesn't trust youth. He's not a man. He's a bit like Mourinho. He doesn't trust youth. But
Moyes brought Wayne Rooney through, the best youth...
Okay, but that was 30 years ago. Moyes doesn't. You look at West Ham. We're the oldest Premiership. We're the oldest team in the Premier League, and we have been under Moyes as well. So he likes that try. And there is a caveat to that of if he doesn't get it right, he's going to be sacked in a couple of games. So there is a bit of that. But I think what people don't understand with West Ham is West Ham fans will give a youth player a lot more chance.
Yeah.
They will give them,
I think
rather
any
than
club
booing
does, don't
someone,
Any
they will
club
give
does.
they will give them a lot more chance. And you can actually, as a manager,
Sam, is it the same with Chelsea? If a youth player comes through, then they give them a little bit more.
it's a bit different, Chelsea, because they're going for the league.
Yeah, well, I mean, well, also
Chelsea haven't gone for the league for fucking about 50
No,
years.
but that's the fans'
That's
expectation.
the expectation for sure.
what I would
No,
say.
but what I'm saying is though, for Sam, obviously, he knows Chelsea better than any of us, because I know at Liverpool and Chris obviously knows Liverpool. We like the youth coming through. Obviously, you're saying the same. But Sam, with Chelsea, do they like the youth? Do they like the young players coming through? Because a lot of the young players coming through have been turfed after 2 or 3 years of not being world class.
Well, that was how it used to work under Abramovich. We were never a type
Never a
of
youth side, were you?
never a youth side. We were all about the experienced internationals, and at one point we had like 8 international captains in our starting 11. Like one of those seasons.
Yeah. Desai.
No. I'm going
Later with Ballack,
I'm talking
Lampard,
John,
Essien,
John Terry,
Drogba,
Ivanovic, Petr Cech, like all those players were the captains.
Ashley Cole,
Obi Mikel,
captain.
all of those guys.
What about now, though? What about now? I mean,
now they've spent a fucking billion quid on youth players, and half of them are either totally injury prone or they're. I mean, Chelsea are just like.
Do you think you'll get Champions League, Sam?
With our run-in, I don't think so. We've got the hardest running out of everybody.
You have, haven't you?
We've got Liverpool at home this weekend. We've then got.
It's time to play us, though.
You'll all be saluting the Reds.
Yeah, but I mean, you guys are going to come. Your fans are going to be rubbing it in our faces for 90 minutes.
We'll all be hungover.
I still think you'll probably do us. I mean, if we get a point out of that game, obviously I'd love to win it, but I can't see us beating Liverpool. Like, you've lost one game away all season, and I just can't see that. We've then got Newcastle away after that. We've then got Man United at home, and then we got Forest away on the last day. So we basically play.
That could be a game to who goes to the.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So our run-in, if we look, it's in our hands. If we win it, we'll get in it. But I can't. We haven't won at St James's Park in about 10 years. I think we drew at Forest last year and maybe beat them there the season before that. But if they're fighting for Champions League on the final day of the season, like, there's no way our. Like, I was listening to it, like, to an article, or I was listening to Levi Colwill talking the other day, and what the issue that Chelsea have got is we just don't have any real experienced leaders there to carry the team through in a time like this. Like, Levi Colwill was saying, "Oh, it's so great in training. I'm learning from players like Reece James and Tosin Adebayo," and I'm just thinking, like, compared to how that used to be, like, people used to say, "I used to learn from Terry and Lampard and Drogba," or you know what I mean, Thiago
from World Cup winners.
And this one and that one, like, rather than learning from a free defender that we signed from Fulham.
Would you, Sam, would you get rid of Maresca if you could?
I would still get rid of Maresca because
You have.
I would still get rid of him. I'm not a fan of him.
Tell me this. So the two Sams, right? So Sam Collins, you'd get rid of Maresca from Chelsea, given a choice. Sam Palmer, would you take Maresca if he left Chelsea?
He's a fraud. The guy's a fraud.
No,
because I wasn't asking you.
The reason why I wouldn't is because we haven't got what our problem is, and this is where we're in a big problem.
With Leicester last year.
No, but I'll give you my reasoning.
Say that, Tony.
So Maresca,
they scraped across the line. Like, they started amazingly, and that's what won them the title.
It's Leicester, though.
That's what I'm saying. When he had,
Leicester, yeah, but no, they'd gone down. They had the parachute payments. They had a better side. They had Jamie Vardy. They had.
If he didn't win the league with Leicester, it would have been embarrassing for him. But Leicester stumbled across that line, and it's the same as Chelsea this season. Like, Chelsea, I watched a really interesting. There's a guy that I follow on YouTube. He's a football analyst, but he doesn't talk. It's not like the Carragers or the Nevilles or anything like that. He gets into the stats, and he was doing this whole thing on Chelsea the other day, and he said that Maresca has turned Chelsea into a possession-based football team now. And possession-based football is the whole passing out from the back and playing those stupid, annoying side balls that we always see and we all hate. But the problem that Chelsea have got is, like, our team are so injured half the time that you can never get those players in to get into that system where it's going to work. And he showed the same results that Leicester went through and what Chelsea have gone through, and the patterns are exactly the same. We started amazing. When you've got the players that can help play that type of football, it works and it goes really well. And that's why we started brilliantly. But then as soon as Romeo...
when people pick it up.
And Fofana...
Kind of like Postecoglou. As soon as people know how they play, it's easy to navigate.
It is and it isn't, but it's also massively determined on the players that you have playing that day. So, like, as we all know, there are players that can read the game far better than others. And if you want to play a possession-based football, you need to be able to read the game. And Chelsea have got two players, in my opinion, and this guy massively agreed with it, which I found very interesting, was Wesley Fofana and Lavia. When you look at their statistics of when they're on the pitch, their pass accuracy, their interceptions. And that's, as we know, in a fast game like the Premiership, it's all about the interceptions and winning the ball back. But Chelsea, with this guy Maresca, he doesn't know when to change it up or hold his hands up and say, do you know what? I need to rethink this. I need to readjust this.
So then in that case, I think the easiest thing for us as football fans, no matter which club you're a fan of, I've been there with Roy Hodgson, even Brendan Rodgers to some point. Easiest thing for us to say is, I don't want this manager.
Yeah.
The most difficult thing is to say, what's the alternative?
No, but I think the difference is, Tone, your club has got to have a plan. Your club has got to have an ethos and a plan, right? So it comes to the top, right? This is the football we're going to play, right? So Slot has come in. I saw an interview the other day. They said we identified. It's not the same as what they did. Is when they identified Slot, they said we need someone that can play with this style of player that we've got.
These players,
like this is where you look at Man United, right? Under Amorim, right? They've just brought in a manager, right? Complete different style. So now you've got to get rid of the whole team. Now, I actually think Amorim got so fucking lucky again at the weekend by getting a draw on a sending off that was never a sending off, where the guy slipped over, and Bournemouth played 30 minutes with 10 men. They finally got a goal.
By the way,
I tell you what, they were absolutely dross again. But that's why I would be getting rid of Amorim before I get rid of that team. Because if you go with Amorim, this is where I say a club has got to have a plan. Then Manchester United have got to go with the plan of playing 5 at the back and out of the back for the next 10 years. Because you can't keep shopping the manager with styles.
I think that's what they're going to do. I think that's Man United's plan. I'm assuming, obviously I don't know anything, but I'm assuming that they're going to go into the summer transfer window and say X, Y, Z has to go, ABC has to come in. I'm assuming.
And then if he does no good with them,
don't do that. And by the way, I hope they don't do that. I hope they fuck up in the summer as well. But
no, but if it doesn't work with Amorim's style, then they go and buy. Let's go and say they go and get Carlo Ancelotti, right? Complete different style, and they've got no players for him to do it with. This is where a club, and that's where going back to your question with Maresca, would I take him at West Ham? Not a chance, because right now the only man that can come into West Ham, because we've gone so far, is David Moyes, because it's that manager, because you've got to get the best out of shit. So you've got to go hard at the back. You've got to go and play shit football to get you. And that was why it was so disappointing when we got up to where we were.
Do you think...
Go and get the different style and all the money spent, but now we spent all the money.
Do you think West Ham are like that fella who keeps on cheating on his wife, but says, "Oh no, I wanted you all along"?
It's not that, Tony. It's not what we want. David Moyes needed to go from West Ham. He wasn't doing it.
No, but surely they need to evolve from him then.
That's what I keep saying. So you've gone and given a man a cheap option manager in Lopetegui, a cheap copy of David Moyes, to be honest with you. 150 million. You've given him in away all the money the West Ham had for the next few years to go and blow on players that we couldn't even get our money back on.
So going back to what I said, so Chelsea and West Ham, neither of you want the managers who are currently in situation. Rather than saying these are not the right person, what's the plan? Like, what would you do? Rather than just saying, no, we don't want them, because it's easy to say, I don't want
Well, it's hard because obviously I don't know our finances are very different to Chelsea.
But I think
I would take someone like Cesc Fabregas at Chelsea. I'd give him a go.
Fuck off,
exactly what I would say.
Get out of here.
What are you talking
exactly
about?
Right.
We took Maresca from the Championship. The geezer had managed one. Fabregas as a manager has got more.
He's an Arsenal fan. Listen, Cesc Fabregas would be like Rafa Benitez going in at Everton. And I know Fabregas obviously played for Chelsea, but he
won the league with Chelsea.
He won 2 league titles with us. What are you talking about?
I know. But as soon as it went wrong, it would be put on his toes. You're Arsenal. Fuck off.
No,
it wouldn't. Not with that. They love him at Chelsea.
They love.
You're wrong. I'm telling you, you're wrong.
You're wrong.
I'm not saying that he's not worthy of a job like that. I think he is. But what I'm saying is, when he goes to a club like that, anything that could be used against him would be used against him the minute.
He was at Arsenal 15 years.
It would. You know it would.
Mate, do you know what? Unfortunately,
he had 5 seasons at Chelsea.
Yeah, I was going to literally say that.
Listen, I'm not saying that he's not worthy of the job. I'm saying, I think you both know, Chelsea fans see him as an Arsenal player.
No, they don't.
They don't. You're wrong.
I'm a Chelsea fan.
You're completely wrong.
Well, listen, in that case,
nice grenade to throw in there. I like that. 2 sons. Really nice grenade. Just to
because he's just sitting here talking absolute garbage. I can't listen to it anymore. He's rubbish opinion about everything.
Listen. I've got to go and pick up my kid from school, so I'm going to ask you this: predictions, because the top 5 is probably the best.
Liverpool are going to win the league.
Yeah, well, we've done that, but the top 5 race is probably the most compelling we've had, maybe ever. Certainly one.
Ever.
So, what are your predictions, chaps? Sam Collins.
Go on, Sam.
Newcastle will finish in there. It'll be between Forest and Chelsea for the 4th spot, I think. Sorry, City will be in there. So it'll be Newcastle and City, and then between Forest and Chelsea for 5th.
That wasn't a prediction. That was a guess.
No, that's just give us your top 5.
Your top 5. Liverpool, Arsenal, City.
Liverpool, Arsenal, City, Newcastle, Chelsea. I'll have faith in my team.
Lad.
Come on, Palmer, you go.
City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle, Chelsea. Actually, wait there. No, sorry.
Go on.
I'm taking Chelsea out, and I'm going to replace them with Forest.
That's mine.
It'll be one of those 2.
Just because of Chelsea's actual running, actually. I think Villa might be out.
I actually didn't realise it was so difficult. I didn't realise it was so difficult. Obviously, Liverpool, Arsenal are there. That's done. I think it'll be... I hope Forest are in there, but I just don't think they will.
Tough. I'm going for them because I really want them to. I really wanted Villa to as well, to be honest.
Well, I do. Newcastle, obviously City, I think. I hope City don't get in there, but I think they will.
No, they're done, see.
They will.
The win against Aston Villa, that was a massive result.
Yeah.
Look at how
it really was, because I thought Villa were flying, and Villa, it's really derailed them. They lost to Palace in the FA Cup this week.
Yeah, exactly. After that
big defeat.
Especially in the manner, it was a big defeat. That last minute,
Rash was out for the
see the air just fall out, couldn't you?
Yeah.
I do think, though, the 2 biggest clubs of next year are going to be...
Then
sorry, go on.
Bad situation.
I think the 2 clubs to watch out for next year, in pushing higher, is Newcastle and Villa. Yeah, I really
Villa
think.
and Newcastle, did you say?
if they get it right in this summer, I think they're going to be really, because I think they've got, especially Villa for me. I know they've got obviously Rashford and Asensio are on loan, so it'll be a lot about what happens with them two as well. But if they go and do a good bit of business, I wonder actually, because obviously Ollie Watkins has thrown his toys out of the pram a little bit and said like he's fuming.
Did you see that?
I wonder if he'll go. I wonder if Arsenal will go for him. They went for him with cheeky. Arsenal be good signing.
I don't know.
I don't know. He's 29, I think.
There's been some great. He's all right.
He's better than what Arsenal's got. That's what I'll say.
But I mean, I'd be fucking better than like he's. Most people would be better than what Arsenal have got. Arsenal have nobody.
They've got no striker, yeah. Do you just quickly? We've just obviously PSG Arsenal's finished. It's finished 1-0 to PSG. Get up, you Arsenal. What do you reckon the outcome of that game?
Oh,
I've got to say Arsenal were really, really unlucky, but so were PSG. They hit the bar, yeah. But Arsenal were. The free kick they scored that was disallowed was such a good free kick.
Did Declan Rice not score 15 free kicks?
No, they're back to booing him again. I think
that's what everyone was telling me was going to happen.
Well,
it's going to be tough for Arsenal to go there and get a result, I think.
I mean, you never know. You never know with Champions League, and they'll have Thomas Partey
back. I mean, mate, PSG is so good. Yeah. They're very, very good.
Listen, who's the left winger? How'd you say his name? Sam, do you know it?
Bradley Barcola.
The guy from Napoli. No,
the
Georgian
fella.
Kvaratskhelia or something.
What a player he is, that geezer.
He's probably.
Yeah. Oh, he was outstanding.
I don't know why Arsenal didn't go in for him in the January window.
Liverpool went in for him before he went to PSG, and then I think he saw Paris and saw Liverpool and was like,
"Yeah,
I think I'll go to Paris."
European city of culture.
Yeah. It's a good week. We've got Barca Inter tomorrow night. Who do you reckon out of Barca and Inter?
Barcelona. Inter.
I hope Barcelona. Inter. I hope Barcelona. Listen, by the way, I know we're taking the piss out of Arsenal. I hope Arsenal win it. I really do.
Shut up!
I do. I know. I'm sorry.
I wanted them to at the beginning, but now I don't.
I don't care about all that local rivalry.
Why is that, Sam Palmer? Because their fans
give me so much shit. Oh my god, they don't stop. It doesn't stop. Do you know? I went. Just a quick story before we finished up. I was at the boxing on Saturday. I went to the Conor Ben Chris Eubank fight. Brilliant. Which is possibly the worst crowd of people I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
What a fight, though.
Fight was insane. I was in the toilets. You're that cunt from the podcast, aren't you?
No
I went, what? Always slagging Arsenal off, you are. He went, I'm sitting in the toilet, and I thought, and he was like pissed out his head. And he's an Arsenal fan. He was having a right go. All of a sudden, a West Ham hooligan walked in, went, all right, Sam. And then this guy, he went, why don't you shut your fucking mouth, you goon of slag? He just walked out. Brilliant. It was brilliant. Couldn't have worked out any better. This geezer, he was big, fucking massive. He went, all right, Sam, how are you? Da, da, da. And this bloke still went, another West Ham fan like that. And he went, go on, fuck off, you goon of slag. Fucking the guy, I tailed it out of this. It was couldn't have worked out better. But yeah.
Poetic.
Did you see on
Actually, I got noticed at the boxing as well for being someone come up to me and said, do you know Sam Collins? And I went, yeah. And he went, the guy over there just said, you do a podcast with Sam Collins. That was at the boxing as well.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. I don't actually know who it was who said it, but he said it's his guy I was with. And I figured that was at the boxing. So we're famous, boys. We're getting there. We're breaking England.
You know who we need to work with?
We can only keep our fingers crossed, you know.
Hey, listen,
maybe one day people will notice us while we're having a piss as well.
Do you know what? Do you know,
exactly.
You know who we need to work on as our dream guest for getting on is Duncan Ferguson.
100%.
How good was he on Stick to Football?
Unbelievable.
Brilliant.
That was the best one.
It was superb.
Ever.
Yeah. It was superb. He just doesn't care.
The stories that he was it was just unbelievable, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was very similar to Roy in a way.
When they were talking about getting red cards, and then Ferguson was like, oh, yeah, and then this happened. And then they were like, yeah, we got a 2-match ban. He was like, yeah, I want to wait for 3 months.
No, I like the one when he said against
for
Stoke.
3 months.
When he said, I turned around and he said I hit him in the solar plexus, and he said, and it was only later that I realised it weren't the geezer that I thought that I should have done.
Is he the
he
hardest?
Said it was a right
do you think, Duncan? Is he the hardest? I don't think
anyone messed with him, did they?
No. Like the Keens.
Roy, to be fair, you watched on that episode. Roy never said a word on that episode. He respected him, but he never. He never asserted his dominance in that one. You know, like sometimes Roy will still let you know that he's like he did it with Schmeichel. He's done it with Vieira. He still sort of puts his back. He didn't do it with Duncan, did he?
He'll still leave a verbal foot in, won't he? But he never did.
He didn't do it at all.
Episode.
Yeah, big time.
No.
But you know what, though? Obviously, he lives in Liverpool. He does a lot of charity and stuff like that around Liverpool, don't Ferguson. He apparently
proper man.
Never met him. He's a proper good fella.
Great.
Proper man. Right, boys, we're going to finish it up there. I am back next Monday into the land of the living because I've been away for 3 weeks. It'll be now, so it feels like I've been away like 2 years. So I'm back on Monday. I think we'll do the podcast Tuesday next week. So we've delayed a bit, but we'll have a bit of FA Cup, not FA Cup, Champions League catch up and all that.
Before we go, I think we need to finish.
Oh, fuck off with that video again.
Have you watched him in The City Is Ours yet? It's a brilliant show.
Brilliant. He was also in that Little Boy Blue about the Reece Jones shooting. He played one of the killers in that. It was brilliant.
That's it. If The City Is Ours, if no one's watched it yet, watch that. Top show.
And watch this video.
Do not watch that video. Right, anyway. Liverpool won the league. That's all done. Come on, City. Let's go. Back to business.
Well played.
Right, boys. I will see you all later.
Boys.